Why, hello.
Hello.
Funny seeing you here.
We're dressed for two completely different weathers right now.
Oh, yeah. How is the weather over there?
No, there's a heat warning.
Oh, I see.
I'm just cold.
See,
No, I'll take the hood off because it's summertime. Summertime is no
oh yeah,
hood.
you gotta
Oh,
dress for the
oh,
season, the
maybe the
occasion.
hood back on. Okay, wait, maybe the hood back on. No, you know what? It's fine.
No one
The
cares.
fans there.
The fans
The
get the fans. Let's ask the
fans don't look at my hair.
I don't know if you brought a drink this time, but I
I have
coincidentally
water.
bought a drink and I forgot, but then I remembered. Oh, this is a June
Don't you hold that
strawberry
chimney in front of me.
matcha cold brew. Okay. You get,
Strawberry matcha cold brew?
yes.
That's exactly my order.
See, I usually get the mango, but I was switching it up today. The thing about Junbi and
This
their cold brews
strawberry
that's
is so
better than like I can't do with a matcha strawberry latte because the key
Neither could I.
difference is yeah, it's the milk component.
Yes.
I'm like, who like the strawberry cream and matcha, but like this is like fruit plus matcha, you know? That's good.
So good. Ugh, do not wave that in my face right now. That's
Well,
so ugly of you.
sh
I
should have
really
brought
want
a
one.
drink to this episode of Yappy Hour. Where
Don't you
we're
reach it. I have
talking
water.
allegedly about Midnight Gospel. I had to pause for a second because I almost forgot the name of the show.
I literally went through a phase where when I was watching it, I couldn't remember the name ever. People are like, "What are you watching right now?"
Yeah, it's not like one of those shows that's like the name is what, like, it's the name, honestly, the name of the show could be like anything, probably. And it'll probably been
Yeah.
like, yeah, that makes sense, you know?
Is it
Um,
even relevant to the show? Like, what about Midnight Gospel is
I
like,
guess gospel as in like multiple voices, maybe multiple perspectives, you know? Um, anyway, I
I
was
watch it usually at midnight, so
you have watched it midnight?
I only watch it at midnight.
That's fair enough. Yeah. I think I remember like I was doing like this painting when I watched the majority of it. So I don't,
What painting?
huh?
What painting?
God. I
I didn't know you painted.
there is one of the paintings called uh the Huntress Diana.
Spring. Oh.
And I was just kind of like recreating it because I was like, I wanna get better at technique or whatever. Um, so no creativity involved, but I kind of
Oh,
ate.
it picks, so you never painted it.
I would pause to go scroll through my phone. I don't want to have to go back like literally a year ago, and that's how long ago I watched the show.
Okay, fine. I
So
think I watched it freshman year of it's like 2 years ago.
okay, for a second, I don't know why
Beat you.
I was like freshman year of high school. Jesus Christ, um, that'd be
Not
crazy.
7 years ago. Oh, 7 years ago.
Let's move on. Um, before we get into it, I was like, do I tell my anecdotes now? You know, my silly little anecdotes.
Say like one. Wait, we should like both say one.
Okay, I'll say one. The real one that I had to present here today because it's big news for me. We did it, Joe. We
You
did
got a
it,
job?
Joe. One, and most importantly, yes to that question, but the process to getting there is I passed my drug test. So
Let's go.
initially, like the third party website that does like the background checks and everything, they're like, okay, it also does the drug test or whatever, and it said, oh, testing for THC, something and something else. And I was like, okay. So and not I didn't say in that tone actually. It was more like, okay. So I abstained for 17 whole days as of today.
Wow, it's a long time.
And turns out I get this like higher right report back They didn't even test for THC. They didn't even test for it. So here I was literally like I was biting my nails too because if you like look online, they're like, oh, for daily use or like, slightly less than daily use, they say like, oh, around like 2 week, like, 7 to or 8 days to like 2 weeks. And at that point when I taken it, took it, take when I had take whatever that word is on Monday, um they were I that was 16 days at that point. Wait, today's Tuesday.
You were
Yes,
so in the
Monday.
clear. I've done mine after like 7 days, less than that.
Oh, really? Okay, but
Yeah, I told you
I
this.
was hitting the little marijuana pen pretty hard for a moment there. So I was scared. Like the 2 weeks prior to me stopping, I was going a little like post grad crazy, like sure,
Oh,
So when I stopped, yeah, the Saturday, whatever, over 2 weeks ago, yeah, I was scared there. I was nervous. But I guess it's a moot point. I was like,
it's legal, so I don't even know what they want
I
to
don't
know.
know. I tried and I passed, but they got me for a second there. It was a real nail biter. But yeah,
Job incoming. She's no
job
longer
incoming.
unemployed and
And
sad.
theoretically, I'm starting Wednesday of next week, which is
That's
also my
soon.
birthday. Which
Birthday drop. No way.
yeah, can't wait to wake up. First
How
day,
old are
I-
you?
9 to 5.
34?
Huh?
How old are you?
Did you say 24? I'm not fucking 24. 22.
Oh,
Why that reaction?
I don't know.
That reminds me, when I was on Twitter, in my Stan Twitter days, which I low-key still am, there was this
Ooh, I
17-year-old
would not
when I was
admit that.
19. They called me a hag. They were 17 years old. I was 19 years old and they called me a hag. I'm like, you're literally
I would call you a hag,
have some
and I'm 6 months younger than you. No, 5 months younger than you.
damn, only five
Hag.
months. Well, you're entering
Yeah.
your hag era soon. So
No, you'll always be older than me, so you'll always be the hag.
so it's more of a relationship to someone else's age
And it's
than your own
not. It's
age.
not like an objective phrase. I would be like, oh, you're a hag, you're a hag. And like why would I ever call myself a hag? I will always be young, beautiful, spry, youthful. Somebody said I reminded them of 15-year-old. I'll take it. I'll take it because at least I'm not a hag like you.
Let's move on. What was it that you wanted to, what little anecdote, what words of wisdom could you possibly provide?
Wahil came this weekend to visit me,
Did you just say
and we
what
did
heel as in,
Wahil.
let me tell the audience. That's not the correct. Wait, anyway, how was that?
It was fun. He got to meet my entire family,
Oh,
and
okay.
they just meet more and more people every time because somebody's always in my house. But we went to New York and we saw Wicked, and that was his first Broadway show, baby's first.
Baby's first Broadway show. Oh God.
He loved it.
I'm sure he loved it.
He did.
That's cute. How was it? The time I went to Wicked on Broadway, and this is high key shade, but I couldn't even tell you this actress's name, and nor do I even name the specific date that I went, so no one could identify this. But they had like a substitute, Galinda. Oh my God. I was like, so just anyone can get on Broadway nowadays.
No, ours were the people who played her were really good for us. They were so impressive. I don't know how they do it. I wish I could sing like that. If I had one wish, oh no,
Not too
two
late.
wishes, money and then singing. Three wishes, money, food, and then singing. Those like top three.
I mean, if you have all the money in the world, if you have a ton of money, you can.
No, I want to be naturally talented.
Well, I was talking about food wise. It was kind of redundant.
Oh. No, like food just teleports in front of me. Like I can't make that happen. Like that needs to be divinely intervened.
See, I would pick
Like
Ben
I think of
TV
a
show.
food and it's here.
Fair.
I asked my friend at work today, what are three character traits you think of when you think of me? The first thing she said was eating. And I was like, stop there. I don't want to hear anymore.
Actually,
Eating?
I could think of some things. Annoying. Wendy Williams.
I'll take her. I love her.
Gone but not forgotten. Or she's not gone, but
Oh
she's
my
not
God,
forgotten.
you gave me a jump scare. I thought she had
She's not
passed.
gone.
Oh my God.
Knock on
I would
wood.
be the first to know. I'd be the first to know. She's literally my text tone.
Let's move on. So, Midnight Gospel. And also, I said you're gonna take the lead on this one, so you take the lead.
Okay, yeah, I guess we can do a quick sum of what it's about. So it's about a guy. It's like animated. You know the guy who like made it apparently also made Adventure Time?
Oh,
Or like one of
really?
the guys who, yeah,
I
that's
haven't
why it's
watched.
animated so weirdly. Like all the animations are so off-putting to me.
Honestly, though, I kind of like the character designs of this show better than I remember liking the character designs of Adventure Time. Not that those aren't
Me
good,
too.
but just like everything's more like, I don't know, cooler for lack of a
I
better word.
like the everything's like more rounded here.
Yes,
Everything
yes,
seems like
yes.
it's in Adventure Time.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's about this guy, Clancy, and he like goes into like alternate universes and interviews people that are there in like their dying universe and asks them like deep questions and stuff like that. And oh my God, I was thinking about saving this till the end, but I thought about it right now. Like the one episode, do you remember the episode when he interviews his mom?
Oh, you're gonna
Is
have
the
to
last
remind me a little bit.
It's so the guy who I think voices Clancy or like one of the people who made it, like that's his actual mom that he's interviewing.
Hmm.
And like his mom has like some sort of cancer, I guess, and she like died. And I was like rewatching that episode like probably a year ago, and I've never cried at a movie or a TV show, but I was close. I
Really?
was so close during this. Yes,
Wait,
because
wait.
don't you know the backstory?
Full stop. Real to quickly interject. Your dramatic ass, your yes, dramatic emotional ass has never cried during a movie or TV show.
No.
Bruh, if you get me in the right mood, I'll cry at a Coke commercial. Hell,
I
hell, if I was depressed enough one day, I would cry at the Kendall Jenner Pepsi commercial, you know, if I'm at that emotional place.
That's a low place to be.
Exactly.
Nothing's ever brought me to tears like that
That's
in
crazy.
media.
Well, I guess
Well,
it's
come up with something that'll make me cry. I've been trying to find something.
I couldn't even I don't even know. I try not to
One
watch
movie that made you cry.
one movie that made me cry. I cry. Oh, I watched the TV Glow. I don't think you'll. I saw the TV Glow. I don't think you would cry at it, but I was like, once I locked into the whole like nostalgia core and the whole idea of like being like, there's still time to be who you want to be, you know, even if that's like, you know, there's other factors in place or whatever. Um, I was like, and I was by myself in the theater. Okay, I was in my cinephile era. And I just like the way I was like silent, like tears dropping, and I was like, I can't, I gotta be subtle. Like, I'm not gonna sniff because I do not want these neighbors to clock that, you know, I'm going through it right now. But that was a good fucking movie. The viewers should watch. I saw the TV Glow. A great fucking movie.
I'll give it a watch. I've never even heard of it.
It was is indie movie seems like the wrong term, but it was like only in select theaters. So it wasn't
Is it
like
A24?
I think it might be. It might not be, but it might be.
Maybe I'll watch.
You should. Good movie, regardless of whether you cry or not to it.
But yeah, that episode almost made me cry. Like very, very close. But I didn't. But that's probably one of the closest I've ever come to crying at media. I was like, that's so sad.
Yeah. No, I can get that because that's like, it's real earnest emotions. Like even though like obviously the surrounding it is this animated kind of crazy universes and worlds, like the fact that the actual conversation has that connection to it and it isn't like, I can imagine how it'd be hard to manufacture something. And in that case, they don't really have to manufacture anything. Um,
Yeah.
cool.
And I think they were talking about I don't even know. The animation was like from his birth to like adulthood, like his whole life, and then like a rebirth type thing at the end, which is weird, which is weird. But they're talking about like death and like being ready for death. And like I just feel like those types of topics just scare me so much. Like think about like sometimes I can't sleep, so I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna be so bored when I die. Like, what am I gonna do? I can't talk to anyone. I can't play games. I can't
Well,
watch
when you
TV or
die,
TikTok.
you're dying, so you can't be bored if you're dying. But if you mean
I'll
right
be
prior to your death,
rust. I'll find a way to be bored when I'm dead. I will be so bored when I'm dead. What will I do?
well, I guess that depends. Oh, not to get fake deep on Maine, but what it depends on how you view the afterlife as being, you know?
I guess.
Like,
I guess it's better to view it as I can still have a life and food.
yeah, I guess it's kind of like the idea of not to interject with another show, but like The Good Place where it's like spoiler, they have to the only good place can exist is if at some point you can leave because otherwise you're just gonna go brain numb from if
That
you're
was a spoiler. I didn't get there yet.
oh, well, I guess I'll just kill myself. My bad.
No, don't. What about the food?
Well, it's just like I
What
mean,
about
uh,
Yappy hour?
because the good place is, it's obviously, I mean, it's heaven for a lack of a better word. And like they have access to things they want, like, all like the best foods or whatever, like, in the end. But at some point, like that satisfaction, happiness can't be like forever because at some point, like it's just if there's no lows, then it's all, monotonous, mundane.
I was thinking about that today because the weather outside today was like perfect. Not heat wise, but like sky wise. Like it was like it permanently looked like it was sunsetting. For like hours, it looked like it was sunsetting. I was like, this is perfect. I wish it was like this all the time. But then I was like, well, if it's like that all the time, it like takes away the joy of like the actual sunset. So
Yeah,
like it makes the good things better when they're like rare.
exactly. Um, what I remember probably the episode I remember the most is the one with there unless I completely screwed up and I'm mixing up two different shows, but the one where they're trying to like escape the prison or whatever. That was,
What were they podcasting about?
oh God, actually I can't. Oh, and that might have been talking about death.
They talk about death a lot.
Yeah. I feel like I feel like oof, I feel like that's part of adulthood, you know? There's a
Oh,
lot of discussions about death, if not your own death, relatives or friends or whatever. Which is kind of depressing to think about, but it's also, I mean, again, to be fake deep, if everyone else experiences death and if everyone else has someone, knows someone that has died or whatever, it starts to become like, I guess that's humanity, you know? I'm like, should we
that
normalize
is.
it? I don't know. Like the way that some cultures, I think, normal. I just like it's, yeah.
They talk about Buddhism a lot in this show. I don't know if you've like noticed it, but it's
Yes.
like almost in like every single episode they talk about it. And I feel like one of the things I know this from and there's a little bit from Trisha Paytas, but like one of she could not be where I'm getting my like cultural knowledge from. There can't be.
Yeah.
But it,
I wouldn't define her as
like
exactly a monk.
side thing on Monk, but I'll get to that later. Um, like I think one of like the founding or like the core ideas is that like suffering is like inevitable or like
Mhm.
everybody suffers or
Yeah.
something along those lines. And it's because like of reality. Like people suffer because of like living.
Let
There's
me
no
tell you
escaping that.
the real tea about Buddhism, okay? It's
Okay.
the core, I think one of the core tenets, and this is okay, this is me remembering from my world cultures and religions class in ninth
Well, at
grade.
least you got more than Trisha Paytas. So
Um, but it's desire, the human need for to just, I mean, the human desire of things, whether that be, certain familial relationships or, something like food or something like, obviously more greedy like money or whatever.
why'd you point at me when you said food?
Because you just talked about you just talked about food. Don't act, don't act
Just call
coy
me
about
Cameron
it.
would move on.
Um like all of that is what causes suffering. And so because humanity and humans constantly desire, we constantly suffer because I mean, we can't always get what we desire. So they try to eliminate desire in their lives, any want. And also they reemphasize the impermanence of life, and I guess that goes back to death. But also, I mean, I guess I kind of fuck with the philosophies of Buddhism, like the whole principle of like, yeah, it does make sense. Like we as humans, we do um things suck when we don't get what we want. Even like that's a plain way of seeing it, but like, oh, we desire certain relationships, we desire, all these things which contribute, which are, I think, definitely directly related to humanity, but at the same time, they're what causes our suffering. Um, sorry, that was a tangent
We'll
about
see.
Buddhism. Yeah.
Well, I feel like it's such a big part of like the show, so it's like important to understand like what it is to like get
Nice
all the
segue.
messages. And
Yeah.
honestly, I don't get all the messages. Like they talk about so much, and it's like the deepest stuff
Yeah.
said in like the weirdest way to the weirdest visuals that like
Yeah. 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 I found
I don't
sometimes it was interesting because I would get like distracted by the visuals, and then I would like lock back into the podcast, which was talking about very real, stuff that often was related to um, you know, normal humans, obviously, and I thought that was interesting, the contrast of like all these supernatural stuff, but also they also kind of had to tie it in with the things that they experience in that crazy universe still related to our, I mean, human universe. And I
Yeah.
thought it was also an interesting choice, but I liked it, like making him kind of like as opposed to like some sort of like seasoned world traveler or whatever. He lives in like a trailer or whatever, and he's like a pseudo, journalist type. So it's not like he's like, I don't know, some warrior or some like fictional thing that explains why he's like seeing all these things. It's kind of just like he's kind of experiencing it the way we're experiencing it, but just more like I guess more used to it. More used to seeing crazy things, but still like not knowing everything.
We should talk about his like subplot, like the whole machine like breaking down and like
Oh
because I feel
yeah.
like that has like some pretty deep meaning. Like he like constantly neglects taking care of his like machine, even though it's like sending him messages because
Yeah.
he's like so focused on his podcast and like understanding like being like overly spiritual and overly deep with like his podcast stuff. And then like when it breaks down, like eventually he like realizes that he's like lost his family and like his friends and his relationships and these worlds that are all now dead. And so I feel like there's like a balance between wanting this like really existential like clarity, but also like being grounded in like the struggles of reality and not losing touch with
Oh
yourself.
yeah. You know what that kind of in a way reminds me? I mean, I guess that sort of the way that you like put it together reminds me of Buddhism in itself, like the fact that in their view there is all these different, I mean, there's infinite amount of lifetimes until you reach some sort of higher level of understanding, and then you can, I guess, see things in totality, but because he was okay, well, I don't know how to connect this, but how because he was neglecting certain things, and maybe in that case like doing what needs to be done in order to reach that state of enlightenment, or in state of enlightenment in this case meaning all these access to these other worlds. That's why he, I guess gets grounded. But honestly, I don't really I don't really remember much of the aftermath of that whole plot line.
All I know is that like the like raiders or whatever come in and he
Mhm,
like jumps into his little portal. And I
mhm.
think something blows up. Maybe he blows up. And
Yeah.
then like one of the last scenes is like him on like a train and it's like all the people who were in the episodes before and he was like talking to a guy next to him and he was like just be in the moment. And that, like I was like I feel like that's pretty like cumulative of his like transformation like instead of being like so existential podcasty all the time like he's just living in that moment and like taking the moments as they come even though you don't really like I don't know if he's dead or not.
Hmm. Hmm. I don't remember that at all, but
You
that's
don't?
I don't, for whatever reason, I don't remember the ending.
You don't
Um,
remember the mom one at all either?
I remember, I think, little aspects of it, but like very little aspects of it. Yeah. Perhaps I should have reviewed it. I actually asked Ace and I was like, because I remember he liked the show. And he was like, "Oh, you should have he had only rewatched it like a month ago." So he was like, "I'm not gonna rewatch it now." And I was like, "Well, I guess I'll go in blind."
I'm still like confused, not confused, conflicted on whether or not I think it's like a really profound show or if it's just like overly profound, like beyond my understanding. And
I
like
get
I
what
don't
you're
know,
saying.
yeah, like I don't know with some of the messages and like the way they say stuff, like I feel like I need Google open on this. ChatGPT needs to like summarize quick
Mhm.
and short what they're saying. And also I don't really get the impact of the visuals, so you have any takes on that?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, I feel like there's a lot of shows that I mean, I'm sorry, let me correct myself. There's most shows, there's sort of like a reason for it existing, you know? Like, I mean, I don't know, like for example, Succession, they want to there's drama in all these corporate entities and they want to, do a take on that drama, what it would be like to, see that play out in real life, as because we as viewers, we don't have access to the corporate world, and we wouldn't know how that looks like.
Don't speak
Um
for yourself as the Wolf of Wall Street
oh,
here.
sorry, the wolf,
I
my
actually have
bad, the
insider
wolf.
takes.
um and but like this show, because it's so introspective, I think it kind of at some points it doesn't really know why it exists either, which could be the point. But sometimes I felt that that was what it was lacking in some ways. Okay, maybe that's a testament to me not remembering the real ending, which maybe would have wrapped it up very nicely. So my bad. But I think, yeah, at some point it was like, okay, so you have these really interesting visuals, which are very creative, but you have these grounded and introspective like thoughts about which honestly about humanity and like what it means to be human, and all the various forms. And I'm like, okay, so I get one thing, I get the cool visuals. Let's explore, this intricate universe, and I get these. I'm a creator, podcasting person who's, making my own, taking my own takes and like combining those. But I'm like, okay, is there really is there really connective tissue between them, or is it kind of just like, I don't know. I like it. Like I truly like the show, but just like I don't really know if it has that explanation for why it, it blends those two elements, to be honest.
Do you remember the zombie episode?
Yes, a little bit. A little bit.
Do you know what they were talking about?
Oh, Jesus. I don't
Was it like, oh, was it addiction?
ooh, definitely that was one of
Like
them.
drugs?
Oh, no, the
Was it?
first episode was about drugs, and that was about drugs as a oh, yes, that was a zombie one, my bad.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. They had I thought it mostly focused on all types of drugs and then side note addiction, but I could be misremembering.
Yeah. No, no, I think it did. I just like I don't only remember I only remember the addiction part. But like I thought it was funny how like people are literally being like eaten and like turned into zombies in front of him. And he's like, yeah, so one time I was like on a hallucination and I was like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
Like that was the point. That was like the I don't know, the intro, that being the intro to the show is just so crazy because how do you start
Mm.
weird like that?
I think kind of tying it back to the point that I tried to just make, I think that kind of episode explains, I mean, it sets the stage for the way that this show, the universe of the show functions, right? It's like um very human, like human conversations, analyzing something at depth. Um and then like wacky things that especially that episode, like no tie-in or very small tie-in if I remember correctly, you know? So I guess that episode does set the stage, and then maybe as the show goes on, it kind of starts to combine the two elements, like obviously the certain ones where they're starting to discuss death, there's are elements where the certain characters are at, risk of dying, which I mean, there's an obvious tie-in, but the initial one is it's much less obvious, I feel.
Yeah. I also like the forgiveness episode because like I still think about it. Oh, I can't say on this podcast. Wait, let me text you something.
We have 8 minutes, by the way.
Okay, that is the context to what I
Okay, that's the context. Let's just
that's
say,
the context.
so people understand it's someone we both know. Um, yeah, that's the okay, now.
Just someone we both know. Um, and I think about some of the stuff in that episode a lot, just like understanding like forgiveness and moving on and just like removing that anger from yourself. It's like because I don't know, like once the anger gets a hold of you, like it's tough to like let
Yeah.
it go. And I felt that with
Yep.
this. Like as I was like rewatching it like last year during the situation, I
One part of the
was like
situation.
during I just the general situation.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking about it and I was like, I really need to learn how to
Mhm.
forgive and forget.
Yeah. The
But it's
crazy
still hard. Like I still can't make myself do it.
the
Maybe
crazy
that's the struggle.
sorry.
What?
No,
No,
I
you
agree, I
go.
agree. I was just gonna say that the crazy thing about forgiveness is I feel like, it's both something that could be tied to something, smaller grievances, but then there's also like some things really heavy, aspects of forgiveness or something that maybe like a truly like there's things where it's like, oh yeah, small things, and then there's things that truly are perhaps, life affecting. And yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about how one concept like the word forgiveness can be tied to both of those things, like I it's one thing to be like, "Oh, you forgot to take out this vegetable and now we have stinky vegetable juice in the, in the fridge," which has definitely never happened to
That
me
sounded
before.
like too real. That was a real experience there.
And it's like, "Oh, it's it happens. People forget, right?" That's one aspect of forgiving. And then there's also
I've
things
never
of
forgotten
forgiving where
that.
it's like maybe you truly this is a true like maybe someone has done a truly, horrible thing, and it's like maybe, you don't forgive them as in the sense that you don't move on with that relationship or whatever, but you still maybe deep down have to forgive them, even if it's not like, even if you don't forget, for lack of a better word. So I think I mean, maybe in other languages, sorry, not to get fake deep again, but in other languages they have like multiple words for it because I can see that, like how there'd be a difference between these petty grievances versus something that's all consuming emotionally, where it's like if you don't forgive, then like this is seriously affecting your life.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. And I feel like it ties into like the whole death thing. Like, how are you gonna live your life knowing that you're gonna die like with these grievances over you and that are like weighing you down.
Yeah.
So like,
And I was watching, oh my God, this terrible show, but my excuse was that I was drunk while watching it. I can't even remember the show's name. So, but it was, they focused a lot for whatever reason on the concept of hatred and just how like it can hatred, and this obviously that's the tie-in to forgiveness. Like hatred can feel really good, but then like at some point when you're just like, you're miserable and angry all the time as a byproduct of that hatred for someone or something, like Mary, like you're not you can't really live your life, especially live a fulfilling life if just, you're just filled with hatred. And that's why, I guess that's part of the forgiveness thing, especially when it comes to these grievances. But I can imagine how like over something large, fortunately in my life, I don't think I've ever actually, well, maybe, but it's something that it's kind of in subconscious or maybe it is conscious, but it's kind of crazy to think about how like I don't want that shit weighing me down. And I don't imagine a lot of people do, but it's also something that's really hard to do, I think.
yeah, which is why this show is so deep. It
Yeah.
makes like I had to take like multiple day-long breaks in between episodes because I was like, I can't do another one right now.
Yeah, binging
It
the
just
show
takes
would
so
kind of
much.
be a lot. I think I did do that though the first time I watched it.
What?
Binged
Breaks?
it.
Or you
Yeah.
binged it?
Or I don't think I watched all of it in one day, but it was like I think I watched like at least 4 of the episodes in one day, and I was like, wow, I my brain feels like this is probably why I don't remember shit because it's all
I'd be so, so overwhelmed.
yeah. I think it helps for me this show. It's kind of I both regret doing this, but also like think that's kind of the way to watch it, where it's like I kind of had it, yeah, like pseudo in the background, and you do miss some of the visuals, right? But it's like I feel like if you're like to try to spend all of your brain power just on like watching it, which I mean most people probably did, but it
No,
seems
I
a lot,
ran.
because I'm like, okay, if I'm truly trying to deep the information they're saying, that's a lot.
Yeah, I used to go on runs with it in the background, just like listen to it. I don't know why, because it's really not running. Like it's not running audio,
Yeah.
but I was low-key so distracted by like the podcast that I would like forget that I was running. So I guess it worked.
Hmm. Wild.
And also, I feel like I just relate to Clancy like so much. Like he didn't want to deal with his problems. Like he was the ultimate procrastinator. Like ugh, he
Yeah.
was the OG. And so like he literally ruined everything by like wanting to escape. That's like so real. A
Ooh.
daydreamer's worst nightmare.
Yeah, one can assess like escapism, and how that it it really does sometimes. Obviously, it's a coping mechanism, but sometimes it can seriously affect, your livelihood, your how well, how well you experience life. That doesn't make sense, but how you experience life, I guess. And yeah,
Oh, I have to tell you my monk story.
please do. We have a minute left.
When I was little, I like low-key wanted to be a monk. Now I've switched to nun. However, I just found out that I don't think I can be a nun. That's it.
Very cool. I think I could. I feel like actually no, I couldn't. Who am I lying? I could. Maybe I could be a monk.
Monk.
You know,
Aren't they silent?
I think it depends on like the sect, the
You couldn't
branch.
be the silent one.
Actually, I can't sit in meditation for hours. Actually, like who am I kidding? Oh my God, I would lose it.
No, you just have to like silence your
I guess
brain.
if you lock in, like at that point, if you're training yourself to lock in, you really will lock in at some point. Like if there's no other stimulation, like what
No,
else
it
can
has
you
to
do at that point?
happen.
You know?
Oh, we have less than a minute. Okay, rate the show.
I give it 7 out of 10.
I give it like a 7 out of 10 too. Deep, but maybe too deep for me to understand.
Yeah, and sometimes just because it's so deep, a little slow.
Yeah, and the visuals are scary.
Visuals are cool though. I love the animation.
Ooh. Mm-mm.
Alrighty. Goodbye. Until next time.